The DST compressor is a groundbreaking new training club that forces you to locate, train, and perfect an optimal setup position and movement through impact. After practicing with the DST compressor, you'll consistently improve your ball strike and accuracy, whilst removing complexity from your swing. The biggest challenge in golf, right from the world's top professionals to the weekend player, is getting the golf swing right, and getting it right consistently. The swing is a complicated movement, and it causes a huge amount of frustration at every level of the game. So what's causing the swing to be so difficult to repeat consistently? We're unnecessarily overcomplicating the swing by starting from a position that we don't want to replicate at impact. The conventional address position is a different position to the optimal impact position. And when we start from the conventional address position, where the shaft points towards the center of our body, it forces us to perform complicated movements during the swing with our arms and our hands in order to reach the optimal impact position, where we have forward shaft lean. What we should be doing is using the simplest movement to improve consistency and reduce unnecessary movements to a minimum, with the overriding goal of maintaining control over the club face until after the ball has been struck. In order to do this, we need to understand that in the golf swing, the lead shoulder is the center of the club head arc, and not the spine. And the main lever in the golf swing is comprised of the lead arm and the club shaft. As a result of this biomechanical truth, we need to address the ball by leaning the shaft forwards so that it's aligned with the lead shoulder. This makes the swing a lot simpler to perform consistently. By doing this, it eradicates the need to get rid of a negative lag angle created by a concave lead wrist, which is formed in a conventional address position. As a result, we should always address the ball with the club shaft pointing towards the lead shoulder. Logic dictates that it must be more consistent to start the swing from a position that you're aiming to replicate later in the swing. In fact, to understand how much of a no-brainer this is, let me use a DIY analogy. If you were to hammer in a nail, you would start with the shaft of the hammer being 90 degrees to the shaft of the nail. You wouldn't choose to start with the hammer in any other position, because that would mean you have to make a compensating maneuver during the swing of the hammer in order to get the hammer back onto the desired path. Well, this analogy remains true for golf. If we start from the conventional address position, we're forced to make compensating movements during the swing in order to realign the shaft onto the desired path in order to get to the optimal impact position. You can see here there's a very large angle between the conventional setup position and the forward shaft leaning optimal impact position. Now we understand the address position that simplifies the swing. We need to understand what we're striving to achieve at impact. The good thing about the optimal impact position is that it remains the same, regardless whether you're hitting a chip, pitch, or full shot. So when you master the optimal impact position, all areas of your game will improve. The most detailed study ever performed on the golf swing was undertaken by an American engineer by the name of Homer Kelly. In 1969, he published his book called The Golfing Machine after 28 years of research. In his book, he alluded that the lead shoulder was the center of the club head arc. And he went on to state that the secret of golf is sustaining the line of compression. So I thought I would explain in very simple terms what the line of compression is and how to sustain it. Firstly, let's identify a very important line in golf, the line of compression. The line of compression runs 90 degrees to the main lever of the golf swing. You can see this marked here by the yellow stick. You sustain the line of compression by striking the ball with your hands further forwards than where you started the swing from. In other words, your hands should lead the club face through impact. So I'll demonstrate this now. So if I start with the main lever in the golf swing running down here, and the line of compression is the yellow stick, I need to get into a position where my hands are further forwards than where I started from. Another way to monitor this movement is by referring to a line that runs from your lead shoulder to the club face as the line of tension. During the swing, your hands should remain in front of the line of tension until after the ball has been struck, so that there's an angle between your lead arm and the club shaft at impact. This angle is referred to as a lag impact or a delayed strike. Remember that to strike a ball properly, the low point in the club head arc is under the lead shoulder and is about 15 centimeters on the target side of the ball. If the line of tension overtakes your hands prior to impact, it means that the tension in the shaft has been lost. This results in a loss of energy transferred into the ball, loss of control over the club face, and inconsistent striking and accuracy. The overriding goal in the golf swing is to consistently maintain control over the club face until after the ball has been struck. I'll demonstrate this with the use of a rope and a weight. When there's tension in a rope, you control the loose end. The moment you stop pulling or leading the rope, the tension is lost, and with it, the control over the loose end. So if you imagine that the weight at the end of this rope is the club head, and I have to consistently get the club head to the ball, I have to pull the rope until it reaches the ball. You'll notice that my hands are now in front of the line of tension, and the position is very similar to the iconic photograph of Ben Hogan at impact. The shaft in a DST compressor replicates the shape of a normal golf shaft at the point of maximum compression during impact. The curved shaft, working in unison with the hand position alignment marker on the hosel and the lead groove on the club face, enable you to locate, train, and perfect an optimal movement through impact. A movement in which you maintain control over the club face until after the ball has been struck. When your hands lead the club head into the ball, it improves the ball strike by compressing the ball fully. It improves the accuracy because you're forced to pull the club head down the target line for 15 centimeters longer than when using a conventional club, while still holding the club face square to the target. So you experience a feeling where you're being forced to delay your strike, or put it another way, hold your hands off through impact, and only release the club head afterwards. In other words, the DST compressor allows a player to start the swing from a position that they want to closely replicate during impact, which reduces the number of unnecessary movements, making the required movement simpler and more consistent to perform. In fact, Jack Nicklaus, who is the greatest player to have ever played the game, stated in his book Golf My Way that perhaps the critical point to remember is that you want your address position to duplicate your impact position as closely as possible. He goes on to say, striking the ball with your hands slightly ahead of the ball is a fundamental to solid shot making. For all normal shots, I establish this impact geometry at address. Because my left shoulder is always closer to the target than the ball, I simply set up with my left arm and the club forming a straight line. Well, if that's what Jack Nicklaus has to say about ball striking, then who are we to argue? Interestingly, Jack Nicklaus wasn't the only player to adopt this address position. Lee Trevino is considered amongst his peers to be the best ball striker in the modern era, and he aligned the club shaft with the lead shoulder at address. And to name a few more players from down the years, so did Gary Player, Ben Crenshaw, Nick Faldo, and in the modern era Henrik Stenson and Rory McIlroy, amongst many others, in fact too many to mention here. The DST compressor is the first training club ever that enables a player to locate an optimal setup position and impact, and build muscle memory of the movement through impact. Will it have a dramatic impact on your game? Only you can tell. Go to www.dstgolf.com. Go to the video gallery section of the website and listen to the feedback from some of the players who've tested the DST clubs. Good luck, and I'll hope to see you online again soon.